Yes. Okay. So, in the previous session, we discussed about the role of RBI and its various activities being done so that the banking activities are running smoothly in the country. So, there is one more body which actually looks after the operations of banking sector in our country. That is Banking Regulation Act 1949. So, this act with the jointly with RBI. Okay, so it ensures that the banking activities are running smoothly in the country here. So basically, this act was known as Banking Companies Act earlier, but later from 1950, sorry, 66. Okay, from 1966, it came to be known as Banking Regulation Act 1949. Okay, so earlier it was known as Banking Companies Act. So this particular act was basically uh, framed actually to safeguard the interest of depositors, control abuse of power by some bank personnel controlling the banks in particular, and also in the interest of Indian economy in general. So this was the main purpose for which this Banking Regulation Act was being framed up. Because whenever see we common people like middle class people and all, we go and deposits our lifetime savings in these banks, and if they are not safeguarded, if nobody is there on banks to ensure that they are safe and they control the banking system, the banks can start doing whatever they want. So hence, to ensure that our money, that is depositors money, is safe in the banks, this Banking Regulation Act was being framed up. Then control abuse of power by some bank personnel. So here what used to happen is the higher authorities, especially in the banks, they were the one who were having lot of power and they could do whatever they want. So for that reason, to ensure that these personals or these people were controlled and they were not allowed or given authority to do whatever they want, this Banking Regulation Act came into picture. How these bank personnel were actually controlled is the appointment of these bank personnel, right? So especially board of directors or higher authorities or management part of the banks, no, people in that category, they are being appointed by RBI under this Banking Regulation Act. And other than that, these banks were controlled under Banking Regulation Act by RBI to ensure that it supports Indian economic development. So these were the main purposes for which this Banking Regulation Act came into existence. So this act basically applies for three major categories of banks in our country, that is nationalized banks, non-nationalized banks, and cooperative banks. So when we talk about public sector banks, all of them come under nationalized bank category. Non-nationalized are like private banks and foreign banks, they come under the second category. And we have urban, rural, and state cooperative banks or regional rural banks, all those come under the third category, that is cooperative banks. So all those banks registered under Banking Regulation Act and Companies Act, they all are governed under this particular act. Okay, and the main governing body is RBI, which ensures the implementation of the sections of this Banking Regulation Act here. Okay, so I'm not going to go too deep into this. So these are some sections which are considered important sections which come under the Banking Regulation Act. So primarily the first section, first to 5A section, they talk about the preliminary things, that is what is a bank, who is a banker, definitions of the banker, roles and responsibilities of the bank. So these are some things which are covered in the first part, that is 1 to 5A sections. Okay, so there it is covered. The second section, that is 6 to 36A, okay, it talks about the business activities of these banking companies, right? So which are the activities and where these commercial banks are supposed to take up, right? So initially only they are supposed to inform RBI. And please mute your mics, guys. Initially only these banking companies are supposed to inform RBI under this Banking Regulation Act and take permission from RBI that these are the services they are going to give to the customers, so that whatever operational activities are done under this banking companies, no, all that permission is supposed to be taken well in advance under this Banking Regulation Act. So definitions and information related to that you can see in the sections from 6 to 36A. Then the third part, it talks about management aspect. Okay, so the RBI and RBI under Banking Regulation Act has complete control over the management of these banks. Okay, so it can be the main head of the bank, or it can be the main CEO of the bank, or whoever comes up in the topmost positions. No, appointment of those people, 100% the RBI can intrude it itself, right? That is, RBI can involve itself in these things. So the RBI under this Banking Regulation Act has complete control over the management and the appointment of management professionals for the banks. So this information you will get in the section 36AA to 36AC. So there all the information related to which are the positions and which RBI is authorized to appoint, and all that information you will get there. Then coming to the fourth category, that is prohibition of certain activities in relation to banking companies. So under 36 AD section. Okay, so certain activities under banking companies, under Banking Regulation Act, they are not allowed to be conducted. Okay, certain prohibitions may be like without the permission of RBI, involving yourself into international banking activities, all those things cannot be done. Yes, of course, international banking activities can be done, but with the permission of the RBI. Okay, so that which is not being taken as a permission from RBI, the bank cannot indulge itself into such kind of activities. So prohibition for these kind of activities wherein permission is not being sought by the RBI will be considered in this particular category, and there is a severe punishment also for it. Then uh, under this Banking Regulation Act, there will be certain acquisitions, right? So one bank acquiring another bank, so due to which some people may be losing the jobs, or shares. Okay, so shares have to be, the worth of the shares have to be given to the investors, right? There are so many things which happens when two banks get merged or acquired, one bank acquiring another bank. So in that circumstances, the problems, the hurdles have to be resolved without with ensuring that the depositors are not affected, right? So the basic lifeline of any banking is the depositors, because they are the one who deposit money for with which the bank operates. So those people should not be affected. The investors and the depositors should be genuinely compensated in case of mergers or acquisitions. So the information related to that you can find between the sections 36 AE to 36 AJ. Then suspension of business or winding up of banking activity, banking companies. So in case like the bank has declared itself that it is in losses and it cannot run the show. Okay, so there are certain rules and regulations it has to follow. It has to be audited by RBI, ensuring that whatever information they are providing, it is true. All that has to be done, and then only the order of suspension of businesses can be given by RBI. That is why it is said, especially private sector banks, it becomes very difficult, what I can say, dangerous for these depositors to deposit their money, because any point of time, if they declare that they are bankrupt and they are going to suspend the businesses, the depositors or investors are going to be in a big problem. So if in case it is a public sector bank, at least government can take the responsibility of the losses being incurred for the depositors or investors. That is covered under 36B to 45. Then speedy provision of provision for speedy disposal of winding up of proceedings. So in case of suspension of businesses or anything, like so the process has to be done as early as possible. So for that, whatever requirements are there and everything will be governed under the RBI body or committee. So that is covered from 45A to 45X. Then certain provisions relating to certain operations of the banking companies, as I said, international banking activities, it may be, and all, right? So those operations are covered under special operations or special provisions are covered under 45Y to 45ZF. Some miscellaneous norms related to acquisitions by customers. They go to a banking ombudsman committee where they have certain problems with the bank, right? The customers can go and put up a case on bank. So all those things come under the miscellaneous sections. The last section is it talks about the cooperative banks, where certain special provisions are given to these cooperative banks, especially to uplift certain neglected areas of the countries or states. So for that reason, urban, rural, and state cooperative banks have been framed up, who concentrate more upon banking activities in especially these neglected areas. So all the norms related to these cooperative banks, they are covered under section 56, right? So these are some, it is almost a document of more than 150 to 200 pages document. So everything cannot be discussed here. So the major question which comes up in examination is which are the different provisions under Banking Regulation Act for the banks. So these are some things you have to list down, and explanation also is not necessary when it comes to Banking Regulation Act in detail. But if somebody is really interested to understand the different sections, you can download the whole act, okay, Banking Regulation Act 1949 with amendments. The whole information you will get in Google sites, right? So you can download, and with your own interest, self-interest, you can go through it in detail. So these are some provisions which come under the Banking Regulation Act. Other than that, the RBI under this act has a full responsibility to ensure that the banks are following the CRR, SLR ratio. They are following the repo rates, they are following the base rates which are being defined by RBI. All that information, all that control system, I can say the key will be there with RBI. Even at night, 1 o'clock, they come to the bank, the CRR and SLR ratio has to be maintained by the banks. Okay, so that thing is being ensured by Reserve Bank of India. The basic reason for this is to ensure that the depositors or investors' money is safeguarded in the banks. Okay, so any doubts on this? Anything? Shall I go to the next topic?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. So the next topic is uh, we are talking about banking system, means we have somebody called as a banker and we have somebody called as a customer. So who is this banker and what is the relationship between the banker and the customer? So that is what we are going to study as of the next topic. So a banker is the one who actually operates in the bank. The customer is the one who is having business or who is having an account with the bank in various ways. So there are various kinds of relationship which exist between this banker and the customer. So those relationships we are going to study for this session today. So before going ahead, we'll just understand who is a banker, what is a bank, who is a banker, and various types of relationship between the banker and the customers. Then we are also going to understand various obligations these bankers have towards its customers, right? Then we have something called as right to lien and LEIN and set off. Then we have something called as appropriation. What is this appropriation? We are going to study. Then as a part of banking subject, we are also going to study and understand what is now known by KYC, and what are the various KYC norms, and for what reason they are being used by the banks. We are going to try to understand what are the various types of accounts these customers can have with the banks. Then other than that, especially what is this role of nomination when it comes to banks. Whenever we open an account or a new scheme or anything, we are supposed to give a nomination name, right? So what is the role of this nomination, especially when it comes to death claims and all? We are going to study that. And the last very important is the banking clearing house process. Okay, how it is, how it operates. So this is very important part which we are going to discuss in the last section of this unit. Okay, so what is a bank? So we all know what is a bank, right? So bank is a kind of an institution which basically provides funds for business operations. Just a minute. Yeah, for businesses and individuals, whereas for various reasons, businesses to invest in my business, or to grow the business, to diversify the business, and individuals maybe for some personal uses, like to buy some consumer durables, to buy a vehicle, to buy a land, to buy a house. For various purposes, funds are being provided by these institutions. Those institutions, we call it as a bank. So the main role what the bank plays is basically it encourages savings habit in the people. Okay, it also acts as an intermediary with the various kinds of people. Let us say if the bank can act as a trustee on behalf of a minor account holder. Let us say there is a big family and everybody has died, and there is a youngster who is only left alive who is below 18 years of age. Okay, the bank can act as a trustee for that small child until and unless he attains the age of 18 years. So such kind of intermediary roles also they play. They may also play a role of an intermediary during the time of letter of credit, during the time of bill of exchange. Okay, we are going to discuss all those bill of exchange and letter of credit later in detail, right? So they there also they act as an intermediary. They facilitate business transactions, that is give and take, transfer of funds. The banks will help the business transactions to happen through transfer of funds. It will also facilitate import and export businesses, right, through international transactions, as well as helping them to conduct the businesses to conduct research and understand the markets abroad. Ultimately, it helps in national development because it is also investing a huge people's money into various government related projects and all. Then indirectly it is also helping to improve the standard of living of the people. Why? Because let us say in those days buying a cycle, it was so difficult. But today if you are earning 10,000 rupees per month also, you can own a bike, right? So such is the kind of improvements which is happening uh, in the standard of living of the people through these banking services. A person, a middle class person who just dreamt of having having a home today, he can really actually do it. He can actually buy a house and stay there and fulfill his dream. How? Because bank is the one who is providing funding for these people who have those dreams. Okay, so such is how the standard of living is being improvising. So that is what is the banker. Bank. Then banker is an individual or an institution who advises his clients in regard to financial matters. He or she provides financial assistance to the clients according to their needs and requirements. So that person, we call him as a banker. So there may be a 3 marks question in the examination. What is the role of the banker, or what are the responsibilities and duties of a banker? So basic duties, routine duties he is supposed to fulfill as a banker, that is accepting deposits, sanctioning loans and advances to the customers, all those things, ensuring that the numbers are being maintained properly or not. All those things are the routine activities. Other than that, he is also responsible for assessing the financial state of the clients and offer various bank schemes. So whenever I go to banks, they always come up with the various kinds of investment schemes or insurance schemes or such kind of. So based on your financial state, the banker is going to most of the times offer some good banking schemes so that you can invest in them. So you are indirectly promoting the bank itself. That is one more responsibility. Then uh, he should ensure that the bank complies with the rules and regulations of the laws. So under RBI, under Companies Act, under Banking Regulation Act, whatever rules and regulations are there, all those have to be followed by the bank. So that has to be ensured by the banker. That is one more responsibility of his. He helps with the clients with financial questions and needs. In case if any customers are having any problems, any questions in their minds, anything they want or any problem they are facing, the banker should be in a position or should be willing to answer these questions and ensure that the customers go out without any doubts in their minds. He should conduct meetings with the clients to meet their requests. He should review the client's financial history. Guys, I'll tell you, bankers, one more very interesting role is to keep a track record of your financial transactions. Let us say for the last 10 years, I'm working in this college, and every month I have an account in Karnataka Bank, and every month the salary gets deposited in that account. And that amount I will be paying for electricity bills, rent, college fees. There are many things for which I will be paying that amount. Okay. So let us say every month 25,000 rupees will be. Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
every month, let us say 25,000 rupees is deposited to my account. So based on that, I will be doing a lot of investmental activities with the amount in my account. Suddenly, one month, okay, in 2020, my account is credited with around 3 crore rupees or 5 crore rupees or 10 crore rupees. Right, suddenly. The last 11 years in my account, never ever it has crossed 1 lakh rupees maximum deposit. But suddenly, when there is a 5 crore or 10 crore transaction in my account, the banker has every right to look into the details of that transaction. Okay, so they can keep a track record of our financial history. What is happening, from where this suddenly big amount has come into the account. Okay, especially from certain blacklisted countries. If any financial transactions are being conducted from your account or are being received in your account, so you will be observed for further things. Okay, so you will be observed if any you have any relationship with these blacklisted countries or such kind of. So banker has every right to ensure and review your financial history. Okay, so that is one, he will be observing your account. Second is he's also going to review your history for the reason, let us say Bharti has taken loan from Karnataka Bank, whether he or she is providing loan correctly or sorry repaying back the loan correctly or not, whether his or her transaction history is clean or not. So okay, so I'll address your question, Geetanjali. Wait for a minute. uh, yeah, I was talking about financial history. So this financial history is to be reviewed by the banker for the reason to sanction loans and advances in future. So if the customer is asking for some huge loan or anything, without the financial history, you cannot sanction the loan to him. You should understand how much money is being how transacted from his account. Whether let us say I have asked for 10 lakh rupees of loan, whether I'm capable of paying that amount back to the bank or not. So all those things have to be reviewed, and then only the loan can be sanctioned to the customer. Then another responsibility or duty is to keep the numbers accurate in the bank. I'll tell you guys one time when it so happened that extra 5,000 rupees were put in my account due to the mistake of a treasurer there, that is the cash handler there, right? So in Karnataka Bank. So suddenly after 6 to 7 days, I came to know that there is some extra 5,000 rupees in my account without my notice. So I went and asked in the bank regarding it, and later I came to know that it was the mistake of the banker. Okay, so the person who had handled the cash. So one good thing is they actually thanked me for giving that information, because that 5,000 rupees amount was to be deducted from his or her salary. Okay, so you as a banker, or else what happens in some situations, if you are not able to trace that money, all the people who are there working in that branch will be responsible for that loss or amount difference. So that is why even a single paisa also has to be accurately kept as accounted in the banks, because ಹನಿ ಹನಿ ಕೂಡಿದ್ರೆ ಹಳ್ಳ ಅಂತೆ, ಹಂಗೆ ಒಂದೊಂದೇ ಪೈಸಾ ಒಂದೊಂದು ಅಕೌಂಟಿಂದ ನೀವೇನಾದ್ರೂ ಮಾಡಿಫೈ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಹೋದ್ರೆ ಸಾವಿರಾರು ಬ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಅಕೌಂಟ್ಸ್ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ ದೇರ್ ಇಟ್ ಕ್ರಿಯೇಟ್ಸ್ ಅ ಹ್ಯೂಜ್ ಡಿಫರೆನ್ಸ್. So that is why a single paisa also the amount has to be kept as a record accurately by these bankers. Then other than that, he is also responsible for promoting the financial instruments and sell these financial instruments to the customers for investment purposes. So these are various roles and responsibilities of a banker. Geetanjali has one doubt that uh, minor, the bank can act as a trustee. It is possible if the minor has an account in that bank, but how will they come to know that whether their family members have died or not, right? So here, normally what happens, if there is a huge amount, or Gitanjali, I hope you are able to listen to me. If there is a huge amount or big properties in that family, and if these the head of the family, or I can say the person who is in charge of these properties or money, should always nominate that uh, minor, okay, should nominate the minor with those properties and the what I can say, the investments, or I can say the deposits in the bank, right? Even though he or she is not nominating anybody, the last hierarchy, in the hierarchy, the person last who is in charge, okay, who should be getting the inherited property, right? So by law, by the the law of our country, the whole property comes under his name. But in case, that is what the court will order here, right? If the person is a minor, below 18 years of age, the court will order the bank to act as a trustee on behalf of the minor person here. So normally that is what happens. Or else sometimes the court can also order a guardian to be as a trustee. But in case if there is no one who can act as a guardian or anything like that, at least until the age of 18 years, the bank is ordered by the court that the bank can act as a trustee. All the financial transactions, the investments, the properties will be handled by the bank until the minor will be attaining 18 years of age. Okay, so how will the question one more come up, how will the bank come to know that the members have died? See, it is understood, right? The minor may go and tell, or the relatives may go and tell, or the guardians may go and tell, right? So the minor may need some money, right? After after the members have died. So at least some or the other way, the banks will come to know that the family members have died. It is not like nothing cannot be known or anything. Some or the other way, the information will reach through the minor, through the relatives, or in some other manner. Yes, Geetanjali? And one more thing, this in case of
Ma'am,
minor, yeah,
ma'am, she
yes.
has to submit death certificate.
Yes, obviously. It is not the minor who will be doing it. The bank and the court will do all such kind of things. The minor is not asked to come get the death certificates and all. The court will order the bank. So till that person attains the age of 18, the bank will act as a trustee for the properties and investments. That's how it will be normally done. So ಇಂಥ ಸಿಚುವೇಶನ್ಸ್ ಆಗಿದಾವೆ. ಇಂಥ ಸಿಚುವೇಶನ್ಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ನಾರ್ಮಲಿ ಕೋರ್ಟ್ ಇಂದ ಆರ್ಡರ್ ಬರುತ್ತೆ. ಓಕೆ, ಸೊ ದ ಮೈನರ್ ವಿಲ್ ನಾಟ್ ಬಿ ನೋಯಿಂಗ್ ಎನಿಥಿಂಗ್. ಆ ತರ ವಿಚಾರ ಇಟ್ಕೊಂಡು ಕೋರ್ಟ್ ವಿಲ್ ಆರ್ಡರ್ ದ ಥಿಂಗ್ಸ್. ಬಟ್ ಮೋಸ್ಟ್ ಆಫ್ ದ ಟೈಮ್ಸ್ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ರಿಲೇಟಿವ್ಸ್ ಇರ್ತಾರೆ ಹೂ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಹೆಲ್ಪ್ ದಿಸ್ ಹೋಲ್ ಆಕ್ಟಿವಿಟೀಸ್ ಔಟ್. ಯಾರಾದ್ರೂ ಒಬ್ರು ರಿಲೇಟಿವ್ ಇನಿಷಿಯೇಷನ್ ತಗೊಂಡು ಆ ಬ್ಯಾಂಕ್ನವ್ರ ಜೊತೆ ಮಾತಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡು ಅವ್ರನ್ನ ಟ್ರಸ್ಟಿ ಆಗಿ ಮಾಡಿ, ಸೊ ಆಲ್ ದೋಸ್ ಥಿಂಗ್ಸ್ ವಿಲ್ ಹ್ಯಾಪನ್. ಟ್ರಸ್ಟಿ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಮೈನರ್ ಬಂದ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು, ಟ್ರಸ್ಟಿ ಇನ್ನೊಂದ್ ಕಡೆನೂ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಹೆಂಗೆ ಟ್ರಸ್ಟಿ ಅಂತ ವರ್ಕ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಬ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಕೆಲವೊಂದ್ ಸತಿ ಒಂದು ಸ್ಕೂಲೋ ಒಂದು ಕಾಲೇಜೋ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಓಕೆ, ಸೊ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಕೂಡ ಬ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಆಕ್ಟ್ ಆಸ್ ಒಂದೇನೋ ಸಂಸ್ಥೆ ಅಂತ ಮಾಡಿರ್ತಾರೆ, ಸೊಸೈಟಿ ಅಂತ ಮಾಡಿರ್ತಾರೆ. ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಕೂಡ ಬ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಆಕ್ಟ್ ಆಸ್ ಅ ಟ್ರಸ್ಟಿ. ದೇ ವಿಲ್ ಬಿ ಇನ್ ಚಾರ್ಜ್ ಆಫ್ ಆಲ್ ದ ಫೈನಾನ್ಷಿಯಲ್ ಮ್ಯಾಟರ್ಸ್ ಟು ಬಿ ಹ್ಯಾಂಡಲ್ಡ್. ಸೊ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಕೂಡ ಬ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಟ್ರಸ್ಟಿ ಅಂತ ವರ್ಕ್ ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ. ಬರೀ ಮೈನರ್ ಇದ್ದಂತ ಕೇಸಲ್ಲಿ ಟ್ರಸ್ಟಿ ಅಂತ ಅಲ್ಲ. ಐ ಜಸ್ಟ್ ಗಿವ್ ಎನ್ ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್ ದೇರ್. Okay, Geetanjali?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, fine. So don't worry here. He is the kid is not supposed to go and provide the death certificates and all. So court will take care of all the aspects. Final?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Understood, ma'am.
Fine. So ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಬರುತ್ತೆ, ಮುಂದೆ ಬರುತ್ತೆ ಬ್ಯಾಂಕರ್ ಆಸ್ ಅ ಟ್ರಸ್ಟಿ. ನಾ ಒಂದು ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್ ಕೊಟ್ಟೆ ನಿಮಗೆ ಟ್ರಸ್ಟಿದು. ಬ್ಯಾಂಕರ್ ಆಸ್ ಅ ಟ್ರಸ್ಟಿ ಇನ್ ಅದರ್ ವೇಸ್ ಆಲ್ಸೋ ಇಸ್ ದೇರ್, which I will be discussing a little bit later. Okay, so then what are the positive traits of the banker which is supposed to be possessed? So he should be very precise. Andre precision beku, because they will be working with numbers, means one paisa to paisa also is very very important. Okay, then good with people, that is relationship with the people should be really good enough to ensure that the customers are happy and satisfied. So adamant agi aggressive agi mataduvanta manushya irbardu. He should have good mathematical skills, andre he should be good with numbers. So immediately ದೊಡ್ಡ amount calculations ಏನಾದ್ರೂ ಇದ್ರೆ the person should be good enough with mathematical skills. Determination ಬೇಕು, commitment ಬೇಕು. ಯಾಕೆ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ they are working with banking system. I have seen sometimes whenever the accounts are not getting settled, bank people sit till 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock in the night, finish the settlement and then go to their houses. That determination should be there with them. Professionalism is a must. ನನ್ನ ರಿಲೇಟಿವ್ ಅದಾನ, ನಾ ಅವನಿಗೆ ಲೋನ್ ಸ್ಯಾಂಕ್ಷನ್ ಮಾಡಿಸ್ಕೊಡ್ತೀನಿ, no, such kind of things will not suit for a banker. Okay, so whoever it is, it may be your own son or a daughter, professionalism to be followed must by the banker. Okay, so these are various traits which a banker is supposed to, positive traits which a banker is supposed to possess when he or she is conducting the banking activities. Okay, any doubts on this?
No, ma'am.
Fine. So I want everyone to rejoin with the same ID and password if this gets disconnected. Is that fine? So hardly a minute is left. All of you get back into the same room with the same ID and password. Okay, so that is all about the banker. Then coming to the customer, what is his duty or what are his roles or what actually a customer is? So for us, in simple terms, a customer is the one who actually buys goods and services from the bank, sorry, from the shop or any business entity. So a customer is the one, a person you deal with as a business entity. There is no statutory definition for a customer, I can say. It differs from person to person, it differs from company to company. So for a bank, a customer is the one who is a depositor or who is a borrower. Okay, so in both the aspects, he is a customer. So there is no unanimity as regards to time period of the dealings also here. So it is not, there is no written rule that customer is to be called as a customer only when he deals with a business or he is having some transaction with a business entity for certain period of time. Nothing like that. No rules are there. So even a casual transaction like encashment of a check does not entail a person to be a